Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my spoiler-free review of Lone Wolf by Jodi Picoult. I've been mispronouncing this author's name wrongly in my past videos. It is actually Pickle, the T is silent, and I should say this is one book which I did not expect a lot from. I've heard really good things about this author's books. I went in with normal expectations, not keeping my hopes very high. But while I finished this book, this is definitely one of my favorite books from 2021, and I cannot believe that some books which I did not even mean to buy that were sent to me are ending up to be really good books. I also checked the price of this book on Amazon, so after watching this review video, if you are interested in reading the book, you can definitely go and check it because it doesn't even cost 200 rupees, okay? I'm sure that this book is very much worth more than 200 rupees and also it is a really big book, nearly 500 pages long. This edition of the book in paperback is 450 pages long, but Goodreads says that the original first edition of the book is over 500 pages long. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the various parts of the review right away. First, let's start with the plot of this book. We have a father and daughter relationship that's the main focus throughout this entire book. The father is called Luke and the daughter is Kara. The daughter Kara is nearly 17 years old, and what happens is she's been to a birthday party with her friends, and when she has to get back to home, she calls her dad and they are making their way back to the home. They are faced with an accident, and due to this, both of them are injured very critically. The daughter Kara, she suffers a big fracture in her shoulder, and an even worse thing happens to the father Luke, who goes into a coma. Due to all these things that are happening, Kara's mother, who's divorced her father, is brought into the story, and after these three people meet at a certain point because of the accident that has happened, Kara's elder brother, who's Edward, that's currently teaching English in Thailand, is brought back to the US in order to settle some of the things due to this accident. When Edward comes into the story, the condition of Luke is established a lot more clear to us by the doctors, and it is said that the hopes for Luke to recover from this coma are really low, so the best option to take will be cutting his oxygen supply and pulling out the plug, as a result of which he will die. But this decision needs to be taken only by his closest family members who are adults. There's this huge thing which ends up as a question mark. That is, since his wife has divorced him, she's not part of the family now. And his daughter, who has spent the most number of years with him, is just 17 years old. And the son, who has come from Thailand, has actually been separated from the entire family for nearly 6 years now. And he has gone to Thailand because of some family issues that happened between the father and the son specifically. Because of multiple reasons, Kara doesn't want to end her father's life, even in the name of mercy, and Edward wants to be a proper son and take the decision that his mother and sister are not willing to take and release his father's suffering. This tug of war between the brother and sister is actually the thing which drives the entire plot of the book, and it is really well done. Moving on to the characters, we follow mainly 5 characters throughout this entire book, and each and every chapter in this book is given from the point of each and every character, just like we see in Game of Thrones books or Six of Crows books. In all those books, we can see that each and every chapter is addressed from the point of view of a single character. It is written in the same way in this one also, and all the 5 to 6 characters who are written in this one are very unique and so different from each other. Even if we don't get the name of the character as chapter headings, we can easily understand from whose point of view we are actually seeing the story, and each and every character feels so realistic. Usually I like to relate with characters while I'm reading books, and characters are the ones who actually drive me to read the book continuously, but in this one I was not able to relate with any character, but I was able to understand each and every one of them very easily, because the author does not go so deep such that she has to dig up the history of each and every character, but she just gives us some hints about their life which actually shaped them into the person that they are right now. The main characters are actually the 4 people inside the family. The first one is Luke, who's the person that is in coma right now. The specialty about Luke is that he is a person who is very famous for having trained wolves and having lived with wolves for 2 years in his life, because he's adapted to living with them, and he's very much fascinated in knowing about the habits and qualities of wolves which other humans don't even have the courage to do. So he's very famous for that. The second one is the mother, who's Georgie. She's a journalist, and because of being a journalist for a show, she has come into contact with Luke, and by that they got married. And these 2 children, Edward as well as Kara. It is made clear that Edward, who's the elder son, he's not so close to either his mother or his father, because there have been some things that have been going on in his life which he has to deal with by himself because of the pressure of being the eldest child. And Kara, who's the daughter, she's been even more close to her father, so that's one of the main reasons that she doesn't want to end Luke's life, even though it's for his own good. Apart from these 4 characters, we also get Georgie, who's the mother of the 2 children, and her new husband, who's Joe. Joe is actually a lawyer. There are many things which happen in this one which do require the presence of a lawyer in this one. There's also this huge court drama which takes place in the last 100 pages of the book, and I can easily say that that is one of the hard pieces of this book. Moving on to the writing, which is the strongest element of this book if you ask me. Usually when I get into literary fictions, they are so strong that they hit my heart very hard. This one also made a very huge impact in my mind, but I can say that I was not shattered or anything while reading this book, because the author knows the proportions in which she has to deliver the emotions through each and every character. Okay? All the 4 characters in this one, just as I said before, are very different, and the experience that they are put through are all so different, but they have to be shown to us in a really unique way so that we can differentiate between the characters and what they are feeling. Also, since the character is in a coma, we get to know a lot more about how his brain functions and what are the probabilities that he will die or he will not make it out of it very easily, and as a result of all these, how his life as well as the people who's surrounding him might become even more difficult in the future, and that's not a better option for anyone to continue with. All those things were really well explained by the author in this one if you ask me. We can see the empathy that's delivered by the author that she has felt and wants to make the readers feel in the same way, because each and every character behaves only from their heart. Okay, they don't follow their brain most of the times, they just follow their hearts, and that's something which makes this book a lot more unpredictable. Okay, we might be driven to think that this might be the reveal that we are going to get at a certain point in the story, but it's definitely not a reveal that the author had in mind. Okay, she has certain things which she uses in order to divert the reader, in order to think a lot more theories, and at last it's totally something unrelated to it, yet the things that she has planted there for us to identify and theorize certain stuff is relevant to the story, but it's not the way in which she has pieced the story together. All those things were really well done by the author. Okay, the analogies and metaphors that she uses in this one in order to describe some feelings that the people are having are beautifully portrayed if you ask me. Okay, they are not very well woven sentences like we see in fantasy or anything. They are so useful, okay, yet they have a really hard impact. Okay, there was this particular line in which one of the characters is feeling this very huge turmoil in order to decide something. It's Kara, and there is this line which she says to us, which it feels like the touch of a feather at the back of your throat. Okay, just think. Okay, it might be so overwhelming at some times that we want to decide something that is very huge in life, and we will experience certain physical symptoms which we will not be able to explain or describe to others. That was something which was really well done by the author in this one if you ask me. Finally, talking about the pacing of this book, it is a really slow paced book, but the slow pacing is not to such an extent that you will get bored and you will want to drop the book or something. You will not even be able to keep this book down. Okay, it's slowly paced, and the writing of the author supports that slow pace to such a great extent that you will be continuously turning the pages. Okay, it's not even a book with less word count. You can see the font is really small, so there is going to be a lot more in terms of word count as well as page count. During those slow stretches of the story, we get to know a lot more about the intricate things that the author has done to develop this plot, and in order to make these characters feel a lot more real and to divert our attention to some other things which will definitely take off our mind to some things which we actually have to notice. Okay, all those things were really well put together by the author. Also, there is only one reason why I was not able to read this book in a single sitting. Okay, it is definitely a big book. It will take 7 to 8 hours to read very easily. But I had to put this down because of only one reason, that I had to work. Okay, if I had started this book during a weekend, I'm sure I would have sat down a whole day and read it continuously, because there are very few books which will be calling to you. Okay, every time I kept this book aside and went to do some other work, most of the time my mind was totally on this book. Okay, I have to finish this work quickly because only then I'll be able to read the book. It was to such a great extent. Even in such a tight schedule, I managed to read this entire book in 3 days. Okay, which is definitely something that a good book has as a quality if you ask me, because I'm a person who likes to focus all my attention while doing anything, but this book definitely distracted my attention and drew it towards itself. The writing and the pacing gelled well together if you ask me, and all the things that the author has done in right amounts. Okay, it was not like this is a bit too much, this is a bit too less. It was not at all like that. Everything was, I'll not say perfect, but it was in right level. Okay, it was not overwhelming, it was not underdone. It felt like eating a really good cooked meal. Okay, there is only one trigger warning which I'd say while you're reading this one. It is the death of a family member. Okay, during these hard times, it might be difficult for people to read a book which has such kind of dark content, but it is definitely not a dark book totally. Also, 80% of the book takes place in the hospital itself, so if that kind of environment triggers something in you, you also have to consider that while reading this one. Apart from all those things, this is definitely a book I'd highly recommend to many people, and I'll be recommending this continuously in my channel for the following months at least, if I'm not wrong. Also, this is one book after many days which I've directly put into my favorites of 2021 as soon as I finished reading it, and yeah, it was just a wonderful experience reading this one. So to add it all up, I obviously rated this book 5 stars, and I definitely do think many more people have to read this, because this is some story which will definitely resonate with many people, because it's about a family and sibling relationships and parent-child dynamic. All those things were really put together. Even if you're a person who likes mystery books or thriller books, I'm sure you will enjoy this. If you're a person who likes character examination like me, I'm sure this will be a treat for you, because in every way that I can think of, for a good book that everyone can afford and read, this is a good one, because it is huge. It'll take quite a bit of your time. You will definitely enjoy reading it. Also, it is really less expensive compared to many other books which I own. I've read quite a few books now this year, but definitely this has made a really good mark in my mind, and I'm so happy that I read it. So please do go and try it out, because it was really awesome. Also, I have planned to read a lot more books from this author, because I also have another book by the same author in my shelves. I'm going to try and pick it up as soon as I can. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. Also, if you've read any other books by this author, please drop them in the comments, because I'd like to know what those books are and try to get to them as well. So if you did find this video useful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.